Why run for office? What's the purpose behind it?
My wife said, heck no. Pastors should never be involved in politics. But 23 years ago, I left the Democratic Party. I'm an America first.
Good day. This is Lou Pimber today, and today I'm very fortunate to have a very special guest. But I got kind of lucky today because, as you know, I'm currently in Houston right now, and the heck of a storm coming through. By the way, just so you know, and I'm lucky enough to have been invited to shoot at their wonderful location here called Mirage 38. It's actually a locally owned restaurant and bar. It's been around now for about. It just recently opened. I think it was June or July of last year. The owner is a great guy. He's actually a developer in the area. And this is kind of like one of your places, kind of like Cheers, where everybody knows your name type of thing. And the people are very polite. You come here and get a very nice meal after a show, whatever it is you're doing. So I'm very thankful to Mirage 38 for letting me be here today with my very special guest. And so, today we have Mr. David Marshall. Mr. Marshall, thank you so much for being here with us today. I want to thank you for that. And I want to kind of give you a shot to really introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do, and you're running for office. I know your website is it marshallrepublican.com? Is that what it is?
Yes, it's www.marshall.republican.
Got it. So, man, thank you so much, David Marshall. Tell me a little bit about yourself, who you are, and where you're currently located at.
Well, right now, Lou, first of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And thank you for your service as well, especially in law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
But, I'm originally from California,
Okay.
Santa Ana, California. I grew up there. I'm a retired police officer from Santa Ana, California. I'm a veteran out of Air Force.
Right on.
What I did was I joined the Air Force to serve our country and also the benefit of traveling the world. So I was blessed by being sent to Cheyenne, Wyoming for my travels. So that's all the world I saw.
Wow. Okay.
And currently, I'm a pastor for Calvary Chapel Snowflake, and I've been a pastor here for going on 23 years.
Okay. And
so that, in a nutshell, I'm married. I have 3 boys. I have 2 daughter-in-laws and 2 granddaughters.
Got it. And so now you spent 16 years? Is that what I read correctly in law enforcement, sir?
Yes, sir.
Right on. And so now, originally you were from Virginia. They ended up in California, right? Because your father was in the Marine Corps.
Yes.
Right on.
That's how we ended up in California.
Right on. And so how did you choose the Air Force? What led you in that direction?
Well, honestly, I was actually enlisting in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And my father told me, if you ever planned on getting married and having your family travel with you in the military, you need to go in the Air Force because Marines, they don't travel everywhere you go.
Because the Marines at what?
Because if you're in the Marine Corps and married, your family usually don't travel everywhere you go.
I see. Yeah. So, and you're kind of married to the Marine Corps probably, right?
Yes, you are.
Right on. So I think you made a good choice, man. Now, what did you do in the Air Force?
My job was security forces, and I protected the missile silos.
Okay.
And the transportation of warhead back and forth from the silos for repairs and all.
I see. Got it. Very good. And you spent how many years in the Air Force?
I spent 3 years in the Air Force.
Right on, man. And then you stayed in, you went back to California, or you went to California, and then that's when you started with Santa Ana PD? That's
correct.
Got it. And so in Santa Ana PD, you served in law enforcement. Thank you so much for that as well. I read in your bio that you had worked gangs for a while, then you worked in a drug unit as well.
Yes, I worked gang and drug suppression for about 13 years.
Okay, got it. What did you like best about all that?
I'm a thrill seeker. So every, you know yourself in law enforcement, every day is different. It's not like going to an office.
Yes.
So it's the unknown every day when you're on the streets, especially in streets like Tucson or Santa Ana, California.
Yeah.
Santa Ana, California is 28 square miles, but we had more crime per capita than Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was crazy. It was a roller coaster ride.
When I was in the gang unit, we trained with some people from Southgate, California, which when I went there, we were in the main PD office, and we got shot at, and we're inside the police compound. And I'm like, the guy says they're just welcoming you into town. I'm like, okay, sounds like a good time. And then so yeah, man, I'm familiar. And then how many years were you in the gang unit?
It was a total of 13 years because it was combined gang and drug task force.
Got it. I see. Very cool, man. Very cool. Now, and then were you a supervisor in law enforcement? What was your role in law enforcement?
Yes, I was a corporal.
Okay.
So I was a supervisor.
Very cool.
But I also did undercover purchases too of narcotics off and on. It wasn't full time, but it was off and on.
Good times, man. That, I think back and I'm like, what was I thinking? But I'm actually telling myself, I'm glad I wasn't thinking. I was just doing,
It was fun, wasn't it?
I really enjoyed myself. Unfortunately, it was the leading cause of me having to leave law enforcement because of some work-related injuries. So it can be a challenge. So you got out of there and you decided to relocate or move out to Arizona. What brought you to Arizona?
Well, it's a spiritual story.
Okay, tell me about that.
But basically what happened was I was attending, we moved to Temecula when I retired from law enforcement.
Okay.
And we started attending a church out there in the vineyards in Temecula. I don't know if you're familiar with the area.
A little bit, yes.
But it was called, it was off Rancho California Road, called Calvary Chapel. It was called the barn, we called it, but it was Calvary Chapel Bible Fellowship in the Vineyards.
Okay.
So after years of serving there, my wife and I felt we had a calling to move and open up a safe house for battered and homeless women.
Okay.
And he led us out here to Snowflake. See, people always ask me, well, how'd you end up in Snowflake? It's a God thing. Because I was moving to Colorado.
I see.
That's where I wanted to live, was Colorado, but God sent us here. So we bought an 80-acre ranch. We had 7 homes on it.
Nice.
3,500 square foot commercial kitchen dining facility. And we ran for 8 years a safe house for homeless and battered women with children.
I see.
And that grew into a church eventually.
And what is it called?
Which
the church now, I guess what it is now.
Calvary Chapel Snowflake.
Oh, Calvary Chapel Snowflake. Pretty cool, man. So are you the pastor there, sir?
Yes, I am.
So how did you get that calling? When did you get the calling to become a pastor and to lead people that way?
Oh, about 20 years ago.
I see.
I was just teaching Bible studies my wife and I were teaching Bible studies to the women and their children in the shelter.
Okay.
And I started getting phone calls from people telling me, do you hear, Dave, God's calling you to be a pastor. And I would say, no, I don't hear God calling me to be a pastor, because I didn't want that responsibility.
Okay.
And so I started hearing from a lot of people, even pastors back in California while I'm here in Arizona, says, the Lord's calling you. I go, no, he's not. I don't hear him. and then what they would tell me was, well, you don't hear him. That's why they're having us call you. That's why he's having us call you to tell you.
Hello, pick up the phone. Weren't you a cop? It's called a clue. Pick up the phone, right?
I didn't want the clue. I didn't want this responsibility.
Oh my God. Right on.
So finally I decided, you know what? Okay, if this is what the Lord wants, I'm going to go ahead and go for it. So I was ordained through Calvary Chapel, my home church in Temecula, and I've been pastoring here now for 23 years.
Wow. 23 years. Right on. So so did you your kids are all gone and raised, left the home already, or is this you and mom?
Sort of. All my kids wanted to move away from here. They didn't like the mountain life and all that.
Okay.
They left. They're all back.
Where did they go to? Where they come back from?
Well, my one son, David Jr., he went to the Air Force.
Okay.
Went into the Air Force, pararescue.
Nice.
And then my other son, he went to California to go to college. No, he went to Phoenix to Grand Canyon University.
Okay.
And then he said, Dad, he called me up one day, says, Dad, I feel God calling me to go to the Bible college. Wow. And I go, really? So he went to California, to Murrieta, California, where he went to Calvary Chapel Bible College.
Okay.
And then my other son moved back from Virginia here to be with us. And then our fourth son, he was 18 years ago, was killed in an auto accident here in town.
Oh, man.
And so he went home to be with the Lord. So we have 3 boys left.
Wow.
And they're all here. And our youngest is living with us. He just got married 3 years ago. Wow. We flew out to Israel. And I did his wedding ceremony on the Sea of Galilee.
Wow. Wow.
And so he's a youth pastor here at our church now, him and his wife.
Got it.
He's been a youth pastor for about 6-7 years.
Got it. Got it. Right on, man. So, and your wife, what does she do? She does everything else probably, right? Like everything you don't want to do.
Well, she's first of all, she's the head of the women's ministry here.
Okay.
She teaches the women and children. And, but we have other teachers as well. But she's also my campaign manager. And I don't know, are you familiar with Walt Blackman?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, okay. Walt Blackman is our state representative right now.
Okay,
here
got
in this area. He lives in Snowflake, and she is his campaign manager as well.
I see. Okay.
And he's running for Congress.
I see. Okay, very good, very good. So that brings me to the point of the original reason how I came across you. I see that you're running for office. So it's can you describe what office it is you're running for? So those people who don't understand.
Well, I'm running for in Snowflake. Well, it's not in Snowflake. It's Legislative District 7 in Arizona. Mm-hmm. It's the largest district in the United States now after the remapping, the redistricting that we just finished here. Every 10 years, they do a census, and because of the census, they do redistricting. So LD6 turned into LD7, which encompassed landmass 10,287 square miles.
I see.
And about 900 something miles perimeter on the border of this large district. So it goes from Williams, Arizona, east to Apache County. Okay. And it goes down through Snowflake, Taylor, Show Low, Lakeside, Pine Top, Heber, Overguard, Payson, all the areas around Payson, and then it goes to Apache Junction all the way to Oracle.
And it goes pretty far. Yeah, south is Oracle, right?
South is Oracle, correct.
Yeah, I saw that on the map. I saw
it's crazy.
You get all the way down to Pinal County then.
Yes.
Got it. So let me ask you something. Look, you spent your whole life serving, whether you're serving our nation as an Air Force, as an airman, and then you serve our communities in law enforcement, and then you decide you get the calling, or you get a bunch of phone calls to serve as a pastor for the past 23 years. Why run for office? What's the purpose behind that? What do you want to accomplish from it?
Well, let me take you back a year. A year back, I was talking about retiring from the pulpit.
Okay.
I was already talking about retiring in a couple of years so that I can spend time with my wife and my grandkids. And around February of 2021, I started getting phone calls from people asking me to run for office.
Okay.
And my response was no.
Okay.
I don't want to run for office. My wife said, heck no. We don't want to run for office. Yeah. I always believed as a pastor for years, Lou, that pastors should never be involved in politics. That was my belief.
Yeah.
But after getting a lot of phone calls, and a lot of people talking to me about it, we need you to run. We need you to run. We want you to run for Representative Walt Blackman's seat, to keep it red. So I told them what we would do was I'd pray about it. Yeah. And we did. We had other churches praying with us. We had our groups praying here. Within about 2 months, we received an answer. I had the ladies group, a couple of ladies came to me and said, so Pastor Dave, we have your answer. And I forgot all about this. Yeah, I really did.
And little ladies don't forget. Little ladies
no, they don't. And I said, and I told them, I go, what do you answer for what? They says, for such a time as this. And that comes out of the book of Esther, Esther 4:14. Where her uncle Mordecai was telling Esther to save the Jews for such a time as this, that she needs to basically marry the king of that region.
Okay.
So I took that for such a time as this, and this is the third group that came up with that same passage. So I said, all right, I took that as a confirmation from the Lord. I said, God, you want me to do this? I'm going to walk with you through this. And then my wife agreed. She goes, I agree, because I came up with the same scripture myself.
Got it.
And so my reason for running is this. I love Arizona. I've been here 23 years. I love my country. Okay. I'm an America first person. Yeah. Okay. But I watch all these politicians and I'm not happy with a lot of them. There's a lot of rhinos in the Republican Party. Yeah. There's a lot of them that I don't trust standing up for my values. I've seen like for the unborn, I'm a pro-lifer.
Yeah.
I am definitely a supporter of Back in the Blue, also restoring parental rights. And I'm not seeing a lot of that. And so that was my push to say, you know what, I want to make a difference.
Let me ask you something right there on those 2 points. Why do you suppose it is that these what they're called rhinos, right? Why do you think they take a step back when it comes to supporting law enforcement or supporting being more pro-life, being more pro-choice and pro-life? Why do you think that is?
Sometimes I think it's because who's in their pocket.
Okay.
Who's in their pocket. And the second thing is that power and prestige. I'm not in this for power and prestige. I'm not in this for money. I don't need it. Okay. Yeah. I'm in this because, again, children, if you're following what's happening in our world today, especially in the United States too, just recently, I don't know if you've seen the bill in Massachusetts. Have you seen that new bill?
I have not seen it, sir.
There's a bill in Massachusetts that came out last week. It hasn't passed yet. And I doubt if it passed, but they're trying to pass where you can abort a baby up to 28 days after birth.
Wow.
I put that out on Twitter, Facebook.
How are they even justifying that? What's their justification behind it? What's the science behind that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's going to pass because basically it's like for a mother, 14 days after having your baby and you can't sleep because the baby's crying, you're going to have buyer's remorse and take it back to the hospital. Right. That's murder.
Who drafted that? Who proposed that?
It was a gentleman. He's a Democrat Party in Massachusetts. Yeah. It's on the table, but we're praying about it. We're praying against it. I don't really think that anybody in their right mind would sign that bill.
Man, let me tell you something, man. One thing I learned from law enforcement was, especially working undercover for as many years as I did, bad guys are bad guys 24/7.
Yes.
And in the world that we live in, the world of everybody else's world, the devil never stops working. Correct. He's always on duty. And even us good guys who wear the white hat, sometimes we forget, we go off duty a little bit, but we have to keep our guard up, because if laws like that are passed right underneath people's noses because no one's talking about it, that's our next generation right there. That's just no regard for life, no regard for the human race. No. I never heard of that, man. I have to look that up, man, and read about it. That's unfortunate.
No, it's, yeah. As a matter of fact, I probably still have it saved. I have it on my Facebook and Twitter page. Yeah. And told people, this is ridiculous. You're gonna kill a baby after 28 days outside of the womb. Wow. And let alone in the womb.
So let me ask you something. Let's just ask the obvious questions, which is the same obvious question that I get asked sometimes. Why did you choose to become a Republican? What happened, man? What's up?
Well, 23 years ago, I left the Democratic Party.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, honestly, I really never believed in a party, never really voted for the party. What do you call it? You're born into it because
yeah, I know the feeling.
And so I really never did anything. I never really followed them. And I wasn't really voting back then. Yeah. But then I when I moved out here, I started looking at the principles of the Democratic Party, the history of the Democratic Party. Right. And so I tell people that, 23 years ago, I escaped from the plantation of the Democratic Party. Right. So, and again, if you know the history of the Democratic Party, and I encourage all Black Americans to study the history, right. It is the party of racism. Yeah. It is. And but the Blacks, you have a lot of Blacks, a lot of Hispanics that follow the Democratic Party, and I call it the Christmas party. Yeah. Why? Because they're always giving gifts out to entice you to come. Yeah.
Like Disneyland Dad. Like having Disneyland
there you go. Yeah. We'll give you this if you vote for us. We'll do this for you if you vote for us. I left it, and plus I was a businessman for years, and I'm a capitalist. I love to have my money. And
capitalism, entrepreneurship.
Definitely. And I had people working for me all the time. Yeah. And so I like that. But here it's like what is that saying they use all the time? Big Papa, or the government. Yeah. And so what it is,
Big Brother.
Just like Big Brother, just like the COVID thing, right? Yeah. Here, let's give you checks to stay home. We're going to give you checks to stay home. Yeah. And people don't realize all that is a carrot. They're dangling the carrot in front of you, and when it's time to hit the polls again, they're going to start dangling more. Watch, they're talking about it already.
Right. It is, yeah, I grew up unbeknownst to me, as a Democrat, but I was in the same like I grew up listening to Mexican talk radio, and they're talking about how los republicanos no quieren a los mexicanos, like Republicans don't like Mexicans and they don't like poor people. And I was like, oh my God, what do those people look like? And they said, it's this guy, it's a guy named Ronald Reagan. I'm like, and then he becomes president. And the guy spoke to my soul, man, even as a young man. I think I was probably 11. And I was like, wait a minute, he's not speaking things that these people are saying he's going to say, he's going to do. And then I saw the actions and I saw what he was speaking. He was saying the same thing my mother would say, like, get up on time, be respectful, go to church, honor your mother, your father, be respectful to your elders, be conscientious with your money. I was like, I grew up thinking what they do, not what these guys say they do. Yeah. And when I realized that, I was like, wait a minute, man. I mean, I guess I'm a Republican, I guess, and it took, unfortunately, to be honest with you, it took a very clear line in the sand that George Bush right there. And he says, you guys came to hit us. We're going to go hit you back twice. And, so yeah, I'm always curious, what your journey was into the Republican Party. Now, did you get any heat from it? Or how much?
Oh yeah, I get it. And it's when I go out and speak too, I let people know that I'm not an African American.
You're American.
I don't even know if I have any relatives in Africa, man.
Hey, I've only known one African American that I've actually met, and then the other guy is a guy named Elon Musk. It's only the other guy.
But I tell him, I said, I'm not African American. Yeah, my race is black. But I'm not a black American. I was born in Bethesda, Maryland. I'm an American.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. Red, white, and blue, man. I bleed red.
Yeah. Say, I hear you, man. I hear you. And I'm with you on that. It's just people like to, growing up, I knew people. Look, I didn't have to tell people what color I was or what my nationality was. I didn't have to because they can see me. I want to make sure people judge me by the content of my character, man.
Yes.
By the content of what I do, what I say, how I represent me, myself, my family, my children, my career, my profession, So speaking of that, as a representative or a legislator, LD7, like what are the topics? What's hot? What are some of the hot topics for you on that?
Well, especially LD7, we have the mines, we have the forest. One of my big focuses is on the forest. 42% of our forest is owned by the federal government. Why? They're not great managers of our forest up here in Arizona. The fires that we've had over the years, the major fires, some of the biggest fires in the country, is because of poor management.
Yeah.
My idea is to see what can we do. I know they're never going to relinquish the land back to Arizona, right? But why couldn't they relinquish the management back to Arizona?
To the state.
Yeah, relinquish it back to us. Let us put Arizonans to work in the forest, cutting trees down, cleaning the floors, getting all the dead trees off. Right. And that you're looking at thousands of jobs and couple decades of work.
And that's a big deal out in your area, especially.
It's a very big deal.
Big deal out in your area.
I was here in the Rodeo Chesky fire, which is up here in the mountain here. It started on a reservation. I was a manager at Walmart, and it was so bad that I'm telling you, this is a big fire. Wow. And they evacuated the whole mountain. I stayed because I was a manager at Walmart. I stayed in the store and distributing food, water, and everything to the National Guard, to all the firefighters to make sure they had enough food because that battle went on for quite a while.
Wow.
But again, when we have a fire most of the time out here, they watch it and let it burn for a while, to kill some of the brush, but then they lose control almost every time.
Yeah.
So why don't we allow the Arizonians to manage their own forests and not have to worry about it?
Yeah. And what have you, has this topic, obviously it's been brought up before.
Oh, I'm sure it has.
Do you know, if you know, what is the position of the governor of Arizona? What's his position?
Well, I'm not certain. I really don't know.
And what is the position of the local county government where you reside right now?
Well, right now we're talking about it. We're talking about also helicopters, getting some other helicopters up here to get, have you seen the hotshot trucks?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get these hotshot trucks. First of all, you got to, we want to get helicopters so that we can fly the hotshots out and drop them immediately instead of taking an hour, 2 hours to get to the fire, but also having separate helicopters for dispersing water while the hot shots are working to manage that fire that just started.
I see.
Instead of waiting for all these things to happen and come in. We want to be more proactive than reactive.
Got it. And so who would be the person most I guess the best person in charge to get that going? Who would that be? Where would that start? Does it start from your position or from where else? Somewhere else?
You would start with the legislators. You
Okay.
know, like right now, there's Representative Walt Blackman is meeting with people in regards to this, but then you have to go to BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, to work deals with them.
I see.
To see if they're willing to even do that.
And obviously that's federal. So what do they stand to lose if they give up control on that?
Well, they're not, and we know they're never going to get the land back. Right now, we know that. That's been a battle for years.
Right.
But just giving us here in Arizona control to manage the forest.
Okay.
You don't see anybody out here cutting trees. Once in a great while, you see them. They'll give permits to woodcutters to go. But you know what? We have millions of acres of trees. And if we put 1,000, say 1,000 citizens to work in the state of Arizona, they'll work for the next 10, 20 years.
And why is there such pushback? Do you know?
Control.
I see.
It's all control.
They believe that they give up a little bit, you're going to want to take a lot.
Yes.
I see. Now, go ahead.
And see, managing the forest, I'm not talking about doing all the forest at one time. That'd be impossible. You probably need about 5,000, 10,000 people. Yeah. But you take one forest at a time, Coconino, you say.
Yeah.
And then you work on that for the next 5 years, 10 years until you get it managed. You know, the trees cut down, put some space between some of those pine trees, clean the floor, and then you move to the next one.
Got it. Now, moving on to another topic that's near and dear to you, from your website, you talk about law enforcement support.
Oh.
What's your position on that? What is it? How do you, as a legislator, how do you plan on supporting law enforcement?
Well, you know, it's funny that you asked me that question because I like I said, I'm talking about all these topics as I go out.
Yep.
And as I'm talking about these topics, some of the things I'm talking about, they've already started introducing bills this year.
Okay.
And I'm not saying they're stealing them from me. I'm sure a lot of people have the same ideas.
Yeah, yeah. Like what?
A lot of these bills. Well, for example, is, you know, like BLM and Antifa, how they were going into municipalities and their intent was to hurt cops.
Right.
Most charges against a person that assaults a police officer are misdemeanors. They're not all felonies.
Right.
And if they're felonies, they're lightweight felonies.
Yep.
My idea, okay, if you're going to come into our community in the course of committing riots and destruction of private property and attack our police officers, we should have enhancements which it is straight prison time.
Got it.
Not no misdemeanor, you know, 5 years in prison, 10 years probation,
because
whatever.
of the intent, it's the intent behind it, and it's almost like it's premeditated. That action was premeditated.
Yeah. Well, and the intent of the law is a deterrent. You know that if you come to Arizona and you attack one of our officers who we love and we care about, you're going to go to prison.
Yeah.
Now you go to Oregon and Seattle, you can get away with that.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get away with that in Arizona.
Got it. So let me ask you this. So, like the topic of law enforcement, you know, I support law enforcement as well. Most people support law enforcement. But what about the topic of, like, what's your position on law enforcement officers that, like, you know, let's just face it, out of 100 cops, you're going to get probably 2 or 3 that are just not good for the career, not good for law enforcement. What are your thoughts on that? How do we address that? What do we do about that?
Well, you have the same thing across corporate America too. Any job, you're going to have a few bad apples.
Sure.
Now, what you do is you have these bad apples. There's several ways to deal with them. First of all, retraining.
Okay.
Retraining those officers that you deem to be a liability to the force. And if these officers are not willing to change those methods that are causing a liability to the force, well, then they need to be removed.
Right.
Removed. Unfortunately, you have the unions you have to deal with too.
I was just thinking that right now. Yeah.
You have the unions to deal with.
Yeah.
But if you have a good administrator that he is a cop's cop.
Yeah.
You can work with the unions.
Yeah.
You can work with the unions.
Got it. Because I think it's a topic that needs to be addressed, because I think what happens is sometimes people think because you're pro law enforcement, you're blind to those who aren't good for the field. And I mean, that's always been around. It isn't anything new. It's just that I think now some people are getting caught doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. And I'm of the type that, hey, listen, they don't belong in the career. They need to be out. And
No.
we as Republicans, we as conservative people, as supporters of the thin blue line, need to admit that, because if we don't admit that, then we're part of the problem.
And you're correct. But I would still say, for instance, you have an officer and it's his first incident. Are we ready to purge him because of the first incident?
Correct.
No, I think we open up the door for some retraining.
Progressive discipline.
Yes. But if it's a continued pattern, he has to go.
Got it.
He has to go.
Very good.
Because that one bad apple, everybody that's watching cops is judging all cops because of that.
Right. That's right. So let me ask you something. You know, as a legislator, you're in fact a community leader. You know, it's a leadership role.
Yes.
And so tell us, for those who would be looking to vote for you, tell us about your leadership style.
People will tell you that I'm laid back. I'm easy to get along with until you cross me. Okay. And then we'll have words. You know? But I'm a type of person. I told them in this campaign, I'm not gonna play this tit tat, you know, and calling names and demeaning people. I want people to know who I am.
Yeah.
You know, usually when you're getting in these tit to tat conflicts with other people that are running for office, they're doing it because they don't have any substance. They don't have a narrative. But if I make you look bad, maybe it makes me look good. Right. I don't want to get involved with that. I want people to know who I am. I want them to know that I care, that I will be there for them 100%. You know, the community I live in, they know me up here. I'm a giving person. I'm a giving person, and I'm always willing to help people. But I want to help our community, especially rural Arizona, because what I've seen throughout the Capitol, rural Arizona is always the last one to get a cut of the pie. Maricopa County gets the big chunk.
That's true. Now, in terms of, because I'm big on second and third layers of leadership, right? Mm-hmm. Like, as a pastor, you're creating leaders within the church. You have the deacons, you have different levels within the church, right, of leadership. And then as a law enforcement, there's different levels of leadership, right, all the way up to the chief. As a politician, you're beginning at a level of leadership as a legislator and working your way from there, right? What about as just an everyday citizen, David Marshall? What do you want to do? How do you plan on helping creating more levels of leadership or more leaders within your community? Because this is, face it, one of the things that we're facing today is a lack of leadership, lack of accountability from our young people. You know, you as David Marshall, father, husband, veteran, cop, you know, businessman, what are you going to do about that? How can you help?
Well, right now we have on our campaign team, we have a lot of young. Our youngest is 16 years old.
Wow. Okay.
And you wouldn't believe this 16-year-old just blows my mind.
Yeah.
I'm a computer idiot. Okay. Yeah. I don't do computer. And so I'm always depending on the young. But what we do is we lead by example.
Okay, there you go.
And like me, I don't, like I said, I don't get entangled with all these fighting back and forth. I won't. And I've done this publicly in front of all of our young kids and our teenagers and any of our young adults that are with us. You know, and everything we do, and, you know, and a lot of people, you know, a lot of people are spiritual, but we pray about everything. Before I got on here with you, I prayed.
Right on.
You know, Lord, don't let me sound stupid in front of Lou. Okay. you know.
Doing great, man. Doing great.
But I'm a person that you can tell I'm excited about stuff.
Right on, man.
And stuff.
People are they're gonna vibe off your energy, man, for sure.
But I tell people that, you know, everybody says that the youth are for the future. Yeah. Our youth is for today. Yep. Because we need to train up our youth, because they're going to be replacing us one day. Right. We can't wait until they're 20, 30, 40 years old.
And you know what, let me stop you there for a second. That's something that I think a lot of parenting today is missing, is the fact that their whole job is to be out of a job. You know, as a parent, your job is to work yourself out of a job so that your kids don't need you. And I think a lot of parents today are missing that point. And so look, I hope that, I wish you nothing but success on your run for legislative district number 7 out of Arizona. And I think obviously you're a man of integrity. You put service first. You're a servant leader. You know, you put other people before you. And so I want to wish you and your wife nothing but success in this particular campaign. You know, do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap up in terms of regarding your campaign? What do you want people to know about you as we wrap up, sir?
Well, what I want people to know about me, that I always tell people, what you see is what you get.
Got it.
I'm that type of man. I'm a man that keeps my word. I tell people when I go out and talk, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm not going to blow smoke up your backside, because first and foremost, I'm told in God's word, a liar does not inherit the kingdom of God. That means you're not going to heaven. Well, I'm going to heaven, so I'm not going to lie to you. Right. Second, if you ask me questions, I'm not going to lie about those questions. I'm not just going to throw something at you and hopefully it sticks. I'm going to tell you I don't know the answer, and I'll research and find it. Now, going into this race here, I've never been in politics, and I let them know that. I've never been. I'm going in with fresh ears, fresh eyes. And one of the things that I do today, like matter of fact, this Wednesday, I will be in the Capitol. I shadow a Representative Walt Blackman once or twice a month to learn the position now.
That's
so that I just don't go in and not know anything.
I like that. That's important, because very few are willing to do that. Very few are willing to humble themselves and learn and admit they don't know. That's credit to you, sir, for doing that. Not everyone does that.
No, they don't.
Not everyone does that.
No, they don't. But like I said, I don't want to go in blind and go, okay, what do I do today? Or how do I do this? I'm learning today. I'm not going to learn everything. It's always going to be a growing process. But my thing is that I want to make Arizona great again.
Right on.
I want to keep Arizona red.
That's damn right. Look, I want to thank you, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for running. I wish you nothing but success. Let's keep Arizona red. Let's make it great. Let's keep it great. And let's be bright, shining examples of what can be and what it can be. And, you know, and so thank you so much, sir. My regards to your family, sir. And,
hey, real quick, man. Love that hair, man.
Hey,
love that hair.
Have a great day, sir. I appreciate your time.
Once again, I want to thank Mirage.
Hey, right on, bro. I want to again thank Mirage 38 for the spot. I appreciate it, man. These guys are definitely making it happen for the people in the community here. Great restaurant, great place to stop in. Owned by Shane Musa, right? Developer here in Houston. So, Mr. Marshall, have a great day, sir. Again, much success to you.
Thank you very much for having me on, and you have a great day yourself.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.